A very warm welcome to you. British politics has entered a new and unpredictable chapter, just days after Andy Burnham became the United Kingdom's new Prime Minister. Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch has launched one of her strongest attacks yet. Rather than offering a honeymoon period to the new government, Badenoch is making it clear that every major announcement from Downing Street will face intense scrutiny. The question now is simple. Is this the beginning of a fierce political rivalry that could redefine British politics over the coming years? Andy Burnham entered number 10 promising stability, economic renewal, and a fresh approach to governing Britain after a turbulent political period. He has pledged to restore confidence in government, improve public services, strengthen the economy, and rebuild trust between politicians and the public.
Britain needs to show the world that we can regain our stability once again. And that is our challenge, to make politics work, to make it work better. I know people at home are fed up with politics. I hear you, and I want to be honest with you. We have not been good enough, and we need to be better. We will be. We will make this moment a circuit breaker for Britain, bringing forward the biggest changes in the last 40 years. A new political model and a new economic model.
His early message has been one of unity, discipline, and practical leadership. But Kemi Badenoch is refusing to accept those promises at face value. In her first major speech since Burnham became Prime Minister, Badenoch argued that Britain faces enormous economic challenges that require bold decisions rather than what she described as smaller ambitions.
I'm glad he's got a sense of humour. It's needed in his job. But when I look at the plans that he's announced for the country, I find myself asking, is that it? Britain is the 5th largest economy in the world. There are wars in Europe and the Middle East. Hostile states are attacking our critical infrastructure. China and America are racing ahead in artificial intelligence, energy, and space. We have a demographic challenge to solve, a borders crisis requiring tough choices. And our new Prime Minister's big ideas are £2 bus fares and £45 off energy bills, when the average bill is nearly £2,000, and that will only last for 6 months anyway. Don't get me wrong. Cost of living pressures are real. But the problems go way beyond bus fares and VAT on bills. Families are struggling. Young people are worrying about whether they will ever earn enough to buy a home. Some are leaving the country in search of a better future. Businesses are closing. People are working harder but feeling poorer. I'm sorry, but going by what he's announced so far, Andy Burnham's ambitions for Britain are too small. Big problems need bigger, long-term solutions. Bus fares are expensive because fuel is expensive, energy is expensive, employment is expensive, regulation is expensive. Government has made nearly everything more expensive. But Andy Burnham's answer is to cap one price and send the bill somewhere else.
She questioned whether the government's plans are fully funded and warned that Britain cannot continue increasing borrowing while expecting taxpayers to shoulder an even greater burden.
But somewhere else is always someone else. A taxpayer, a business, a family. Someone will pay, and they will pay in higher taxes. Andy Burnham needs to tell us who will pay for those taxes. And if he won't, we should assume it will be the same people Labour always turn to when the sums don't add up.
This is not simply another disagreement between government and opposition. It is an attempt by Badenoch to define the Conservative Party's identity after a difficult period in opposition. Instead of reacting to Labour's agenda, she wants to force the debate onto issues where Conservatives traditionally believe they have an advantage, particularly economic management, government spending, taxation, and fiscal responsibility. Her message is straightforward. Every promise made by the Prime Minister should answer one critical question: how will it be paid for? That challenge strikes at the center of Burnham's political agenda. The new Prime Minister has already announced several policies designed to help struggling households and revive local businesses. Among them is a planned reduction in business rates for pubs, clubs, and music venues beginning next year.
To make it more collaborative, more about problem solving than point scoring. And we will take power out of here and carry it into every postcode in the land so that they can do more. And in doing more, build a new economy where we put life's essentials back under stronger public control to make them affordable to you again. Reindustrialising Britain using public procurement to back British industry.
His government also delayed the implementation of an early prisoner release program after significant public concern over safety. Supporters argue these decisions demonstrate that Burnham is willing to listen to public concerns while pursuing practical reforms. Critics, however, argue that adjusting policies is easier than paying for them. That is exactly where Badenoch believes she can gain political ground. She has repeatedly questioned whether Labour's spending commitments match the country's financial reality. According to her, governments cannot continue making expensive promises without identifying where the money will come from.
Our new Prime Minister only wants to cut business rates by 20%, and only for clubs, pubs and music venues, and he hasn't even found the money to pay for it. Look, I like to have a good time as much as the next person, but surely he can do better than that. 4 years ago, a Prime Minister announced policies without making savings to pay for them, and it didn't end very well. Every day, Andy Burnham seems to float a new expensive idea. A national care service that costs £18 billion. Building as many council houses in the 1970s, costing £13 billion. On Monday, he said he was thinking about increasing the personal allowance. On Tuesday, he was against it. On Wednesday, he was for it again. Does anyone know what he's thinking today? Because I don't.
Political analysts believe she also faces her own challenges. Andy Burnham enjoys a reputation as a skilled communicator with broad public appeal. His leadership style is often viewed as less confrontational and more relatable than many recent British political leaders. That popularity means attacking him requires a different strategy than attacking previous Labour figures. Instead of focusing on personality, Badenoch appears determined to focus almost entirely on policy. That may prove to be a calculated decision. Voters often forgive politicians they like. They are much less forgiving if they begin to doubt whether government finances are under control. At the same time, Burnham is trying to establish himself as a prime minister who governs differently. His speeches have emphasized restoring confidence in politics, improving public services, and delivering stable leadership after years of political uncertainty. Whether those ambitions translate into measurable economic improvements will ultimately determine how successful his government becomes. For Badenoch, however, the political stakes are equally high. The Conservative Party is attempting to rebuild after electoral setbacks, and many members believe this moment represents an opportunity to reconnect with voters by focusing on economic discipline rather than internal divisions. Her recent speech reflects that strategy. Rather than opposing every government announcement, she's attempting to build a broader argument that Britain needs larger structural reforms while insisting that every proposal must be financially credible. The coming months will reveal whether this approach resonates with voters. If the economy improves under Burnham, Labour will strengthen its position considerably. If economic pressures continue, inflation remains stubborn, or public finances deteriorate, Badenoch may find increasing support for her warnings. This political context is therefore about much more than two personalities. It is about competing visions for Britain's future. One side argues that government investment and reform are essential to stimulate growth and rebuild public services. The other insists that economic credibility, controlled spending, and fiscal discipline must come first before ambitious new programs are introduced. That debate has defined British politics for decades. Now, it is returning with renewed intensity. For Prime Minister Andy Burnham, every major policy announcement will now be examined not only for its popularity, but also for its financial sustainability. For Kemi Badenoch, every criticism carries an opportunity to convince voters that the Conservatives are once again prepared to govern. One thing is already becoming clear. Britain's political honeymoon is over. The battle between Andy Burnham and Kemi Badenoch has begun. And if their opening exchanges are any indication, the country is heading towards one of its most closely watched political rivalries in recent years. For more updates, stay with us on News Express. I am Cassie Tony.